Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to the PHLY Flyers Pregame Show presented by Coors Light. Visit CoorsLight.com/PHLY Hockey to get Coors Light delivered or find a store near you. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me tonight in studio, it's Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat reporter, Charlie O'Connor. Charlie, I kind of feel like Scott Hansen right now. I'm like, gear up for the next 5.5 hours of commercial-free us talking action.
Pull up a chair. Yes, stay a while.
Here we go.
We ain't going anywhere.
It's we're coming to you live for this pregame show. We will have the watch-along during the game, so don't go anywhere when we wrap up in about half an hour. And then, of course, post-game. Well, you will hear our thoughts all over again. All right, let's get it started. So we got the news. It was yesterday in practice that Sam Ersson tweaked something.
Well, no, we got it today.
Was it today?
Well, it was today because yesterday he did leave early, but he didn't leave that
left early.
He left like 5 minutes before practice ended. So it was we talked about it in the media room, just like, oh, that's interesting. Ersson's leaving a little early, and it was minor enough that it was like, well, maybe, they're trying to catch a flight. Maybe he's just rushing out of here a little early. Maybe he has to go to the bathroom. Like, literally could have been 1,000 different
First
things.
goalie off the ice.
It wasn't obvious in any way that it was an injury because it happened so close to the end of the practice. Well, then today we find out Fedotov's starting. And I was like, okay, well, they could give Fedotov a start. And then we find out that Ersson actually did tweak something. It appears to probably be a re-aggravation, retweak, whatever you want to call it, of what I believe is a groin injury. Not great, like not ideal. It doesn't seem like they're that concerned. They said it was day-to-day. However, this does seem like it's probably a recurrence of a previous issue. So I do wonder if they may be more cautious this time around than they were the last time.
To happen within a couple of days of the last one. Like, it just it feels like a re-aggravation. And this has been, I don't know if it's a repeat of that thing that we've talked about for so long. Like, oh, yeah, you bring a guy back and then suddenly he's out again. Like, a groin injury can just kind of linger.
And also, last year, that wasn't an issue.
No, it wasn't. No. This
is PTSD for you.
This is that long-term. Yeah. The team gets stuff held against it.
Right.
That it had nothing to do. Like, this regime. Right. Yeah, man. Bobby Clark had a bad relationship with Eric Lindros, but that has nothing to do with Danny Briere and Matvei Michkov, Like, it's just that these things get held against the team, but it's good to see. I think Jason Martinez said today, like, it feels like they might be a little more cautious with this one because, well, it happened before. And honestly, the spot that the Flyers are in now with their 3 goalies, Kolosov needs to play, Fedotov needs to play. It's not the worst thing in the world for Sam Ersson not to play every single game.
Well, it is the worst thing in the world if your intention is to try to have the Flyers win as many games as possible. Because Sam Ersson is obviously their best
Clearly
goalie.
The best goalie.
He gives the team the best chance of winning out of the 3 goalies they still have on the roster.
And if tonight is a disaster a la the first 3 Fedotov games, right. It's like, well, how do we... Everyone can do everything right in all 3 zones, but if a goal just goes in, how do we evaluate everyone? Yeah. That sort of stuff is always worth looking at, but we have called this season so many times an evaluation year, a fact-finding mission. Mm-hmm. They need to find out about these guys. Yeah. They don't have any back-to-backs until the end of the month, so there's nothing that's going to press a backup into service.
Fair.
So here is an opportunity, as much as it sucks for everyone else on the team, and as much as it sucks for Sam Ersson, here is an opportunity. Okay, we get Fedotov in. It's a lot like the circumstances of his last start, where, yeah, he wasn't slated to go, and then Ersson tweaked something, so we're going to throw you in there and see how it goes. Now, again, it's not like it happened in warm-ups either time. Like, he's had all day and probably yesterday to prepare himself, but throw him in there, see how it goes. It went really well against Tampa, as well as you could possibly expect it to go against, they were, I think, 5th in the league in scoring at the time, and he played damn well. So I'm very interested to see what happens with the goalie situation tonight. Fedotov gets the start, Kolosov backing up, but then we got word a little bit ago, not the only lower body injury. Sean Couturier will also be out of tonight's lineup. He is also day-to-day with a lower body injury. And it will be Morgan Frost drawing back in tonight.
Okay.
How do you think this goes, Charlie? Morgan Frost comes back in. Do you think he slides into Kutz's spot? Do you think he gets reunited with Michkov?
Well, I truthfully, like, Morgan Frost is, with regards to this news, the Couturier news is way more important than Morgan Frost. Like, whatever. Morgan Frost is back in, fine. He got scratched a game. Maybe he'll be good. Maybe he'll be bad. I really don't give a crap, truthfully. It doesn't matter to me that much. What matters to me is the health of Sean Couturier, because this is a team that doesn't have that many centers. Sean Couturier has been the only center from basically, I would say, like game 5 on, who has been like actively good, actually an above average NHL center. His underlying numbers are fantastic. He has around a 58% on ice expected goals rate at 5-on-5. He's been good. He's been their clear-cut 1C for the better part of the last few weeks. Now, they say it's day-to-day. They say it's minor, lower body injury, whatever. Fair. And the fact that this morning, I'm obviously not on the trip, but he did, John Tortorella.
It'd be cool if you're a hologram. I'm glad you're here, but that would be cool.
John Tortorella did speak with Brian Smith, who works for the team, and Jackie Spiegel with the Inquirer, who's on the trip, this morning, and said, when asked, the lineup is the same, aside from Fedotov in. That tells me that this was a late thing. And maybe it's something he tweaked in morning skate or whatever. It might be minor. It very well could be just a minor thing. Maybe he's back in on Saturday, no big deal. He's older. I just worry, we saw what happened last year with him when he started dealing with the nagging injuries. Then he got less effective, and then suddenly he wasn't scoring for 4 months. So I hope that this is minor. I really do. But based on his history, I do worry a little bit that, like, oh no, here comes the start of the injuries.
And whether this is what is the cause or not, first 12 games of the season, he averaged 16-13 time on ice. Mm-hmm. And we looked at it, I looked at it at least as like, he had a one game over 20 minutes. Yeah, against Montreal, he played 20-29. It's like, oh, okay, cool. They looked at last year and went, maybe we shouldn't do that again. And John Tortorella...
I don't think that had anything to do with it, but I love the fact that you were trying to like put lipstick on a pig here.
And John Tortorella is probably like, yeah, he's not like that good.
Yeah, he's like, I don't like it. That's what I think was actually going on.
Congratulations, 800 games. 4th line left wing. You're getting the start, though.
Yep.
But in the last 4 games, and you say, like, over the last couple of weeks, it's been very obvious Sean Couturier, this team's best center.
Yeah.
I would ask, who's number 2?
Good question.
The guy who's only in the
apparently
line.
right now it's
Ryan,
Scott Lawton.
Yeah,
Scott Lawton right now. The Lawton line is clearly the second line. The Michkov line is the third line at the moment.
Last 4 games, 2011, 23-27, 24-21, 20-09 for an average of 22-02.
Yeah, he's playing a lot.
He's playing a lot.
He's earned the minutes.
No, that's the thing. He's effective. It's not like they're just giving him the minutes. John Tortorella obviously not just going to give Sean Couturier minutes.
We know that.
Do you think these things are related?
Who knows? Like Bill, you ask me these questions that have no way for me to answer. Like
I know. That's why I do it, because this is what people are going to say.
Well,
and then you get to go, yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
because
maybe.
it's very possible, but anything's possible.
Yeah.
He could have tripped on a kid's toy getting out of bed today.
Yeah.
Like, does he have kids? I don't know the answer.
He does.
That. Okay, yeah, like he could have tripped on a toy getting out of bed today, and that's why he's not in the lineup. These things are also very possible. I think it was Eric Desjardins had the shoulder surgery, and then he was having a catch with his kid, and it just went, and he couldn't play for like months.
I don't remember
I think that
it
happened.
very well could have happened.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I just like these things are always possibilities. But we have Morgan Frost in tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a Rudy situation. Maybe Coots went,
Morgan's playing. No, like is it possible that he got overworked? Maybe, but like I don't know. If he can't play 4 straight games of over 20 minutes, like what are we doing here?
Well, that's the concern.
Well, but like there's no way that that's actually the case.
Yes.
There's no way that like Sean Couturier just can't handle a few games of like not even like ridiculous minutes.
This isn't 30 minutes.
Yeah, they're not throwing him out there for half a game.
His high is like 23.
Yeah, he's getting some minutes because he's playing well and because they're using him in all three situations again. He's back on the power play. I hope that it's not overworking. And the fact that it came out after the morning skate tells me that it probably happened this morning. Didn't happen in the last game because he practiced yesterday when he was that was yesterday, right? Sorry, days aren't real. That was yesterday. He practiced in Voorhees when I was there. I was at that practice. I saw him practice. He looked fine. So it wasn't something that he got hurt in the game because he was tired. Now, is it he got hurt because he's been used and that his body's a little bit more tired? I don't know, maybe, but like there's no way to prove that.
No, I'm just looking to see if we have some updated lines. And yeah, Jackie Spiegel tweeted them. So it's going to be Tippett, Paling, Konechny, Farabee, Lawton, Brink, Tony Dick, Morgan Frost, Matvei Michkov, Forster, Cates, Hathaway, and then on the back end, Andre Sanheim, Sealer, Risto, Zamula, Johnson with Fedotov and net. So it's Frost being reunited with Matvei Michkov. Maybe this is the opportunity he's been waiting for.
Yeah.
And Ryan Paling is your 1C tonight.
He bumps up to replace Couturier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but again, like, this is another thing where, like, don't overthink this.
Yeah.
The reason why he's getting bumped up is because John Tortorella said yesterday, he said he really likes the top two lines. He liked the Couturier line with Tippett and Konechny, and he liked the Farabee, Lawton, Brink line. He clearly doesn't want to break that line up. I would not be surprised if Lawton gets more ice time than Paling because he maybe leans on that line. Or if the Paling line works well, maybe he leans on that line. But I don't think this is like, oh, man, he thinks Ryan Paling's his best center.
No.
Like, I don't think he wants to break up the Lawton line. And he clearly doesn't think Morgan Frost deserves to be immediately bumped back up into the 1C role after missing a game. And he was going to be scratched today anyway. So they're not that high on Frost. So, okay, they're moving Paling up. Look, if they're down 2-0 at the end of the first period, he's going to juggle the lines like crazy anyway.
He might do it if they're up 2-0.
He very well could.
And that brings us to one Matvei Michkov. I liked him with we've been over this. I liked him with Tony Dick and
he's still with Tony
and
Dick.
Paling. Yeah,
He's
and
just
now
not with
he
Paling
still
anymore.
has the speed and a little bit of offense there. And you give him Morgan Frost, who is capable of creating offense. So we're getting to that time. It's almost Frost season. So maybe it starts tonight.
You think that's what it is? You think he starts getting good when winter hits because of his
It
name?
really could be. It's pretty chilly out tonight.
You know what?
I have the windbreaker on.
William, that's as good of an explanation as I can think of because there doesn't seem like there's any logical explanation as to why a player who like is legitimately, and I know people hate on Morgan Frost, he's legitimately a good NHL player.
He's a good player.
He's a good player. He's a perfectly fine NHL, middle six forward. There's no logical explanation as to why a guy who is good would be bad in the first 2 months of 3 straight years. So sure,
and then
let's go with the winter Frost thing. Why not?
And then goes like 0.8 of a point the rest of the way. Like he just sucks in October and November. Maybe
it's very
maybe
weird.
it starts now.
Maybe it's the winter thing.
But it brings us to Matvei Michkov, and it brings us to this excerpt from Friedman's 32 Thoughts, Charlie. And I know that you don't know the answer.
I do not. Well, I think I know the answer to the first part.
The first part,
I'm pretty sure that was Zamula, based on the fact they were playing ping pong against each other all the time.
I included the top part because I think it informs the bottom part.
Okay.
Michkov's brief removal apparently had something to do with an exchange on the bench the Flyers wished to address. It wasn't anything enormous or concerning, more like a let's deal with this now and move on teaching moment. We have heard all the story. Oh, maybe he's got the character concerns, blah, blah, blah. And it really comes down to an extreme competitiveness as outlined by he wouldn't talk to Zamula after he beat him a couple of times in ping pong. And that's the only guy he can communicate with. It's his interpreter. So he's just not talking to the dude.
Oh, man.
Who did I hear today? He was actually teaching some phrases to. It might have been Paling. He was teaching him some Russian phrases, which I find interesting.
Yeah, I think John Bailey tweeted that. It was just he was watching it in the locker room.
Either way,
I missed it, but sure, that's fun.
Either way,
I don't get the sense that Michkov's teammates don't like him.
No.
So if I had to guess, my guess is that this exchange probably was to a coach, maybe not a teammate.
Let's hope it was with Rocky Thompson. But
Who knows?
I know, Charlie. I know.
Who knows?
I am just building towards. We have heard the stories of the competitiveness and how sometimes that can manifest itself in him being hard on his teammates, perhaps hard on his coaches. Given the context clues, does that not seem what it was?
Yeah, I mean, he probably lost his temper, or he probably, somebody told him something, and he basically was like, "I'm not responding. Like, you're annoying me. Whatever. I'm ticked off." Like, that's probably what it was. Especially if Elliot Friedman is saying that, it's not a big deal. Probably just lost his temper. What I will say though, and the reason why I don't totally agree with the way Elliot framed it is I don't think the way Elliot framed it was like that was the only reason. It wasn't. That was not the only reason. There were things that were popping up in video sessions that they had been talking to him about for weeks that he wasn't addressing. It was probably like, I'm sure that might have been part of it was,
After that happened, it's like, you know what? You're not playing.
You're not listening to us.
Yeah.
We got to step in and stop this before it gets worse. But it's Elliot Friedman. I'm sure that he's not making this up. I'm sure something happened.
And honestly, like, again, if this was with a teammate or with one of the coaches, whatever, John Tortorella loves that stuff. Now, you can't, be toxic.
Right.
Like, that's one of the things we heard. It's like one of the reasons we have him is because some of those rumors circulated maybe as a way to get him to fall to some. But, for whatever the reason, those rumors circulated, and you want to nip that in the bud because this is going to be, unless they get super lucky, the best player on the team for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Well,
or super unlucky if he's not.
Yeah, well, I saw this today and people were blowing up, and I'm just good. He needs to also rein it in a little because we've seen him lose his temper a couple times. I told you, him popping Celebrini the other day. Yeah, you can't do that. I don't hate it, though. But as a temper situation, we've now seen it with Brendan Gallagher get under his skin. Yeah. We see him pop Celebrini.
You're not wrong.
The end of regulation in a tie game going to overtime.
Probably not the best time.
Rein it in a little. And if it's just a teaching moment, dope. And that's what we thought it was all along. Yeah. Just more on-ice stuff than mental stuff. But if it's both, outstanding.
There you go.
And that gets us to our pregame pick segment. This pregame pick segment is brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, I have a couple of pregame bets tonight.
Bets.
The first, they're going so well. You should absolutely be tailing me.
Well, I mean, you could be providing a service where just bet against
fade
Bill.
Me. Yeah, absolutely.
Bet against Bill.
100. If I hope Neil Dexter is in the chat to hand out what you actually should bet on tonight. But these are the things I am looking at. The first is the total over 5.5 at -125. I just think 5.5 is a little low. The Sens rank very well in goals against the game, but it's kind of on the strength of 3 shutouts. They've also given up 4 more goals 7 times through 15 games. That's almost half, I'm told. The Flyers, of course, have Ivan Fedotov in net, so, the Sens could hit this by themselves. He was good against Tampa, and like I said, in a similar situation with Ersson getting hurt. So maybe he has similar results, but I'm not betting on that. 5.5 seems a little low. The Sens score a lot. Flyers, it's up and down, but they can sometimes. Yeah. So we're going to go with that over 5.5. And as I am always want to do, a former Flyer is definitely an auto bet. Claude Giroux, over 0.5 point at -130, just to record 1 point.
He just needs a cheap secondary assist. That's all.
It's a specialty. That's a joke. 9 points in 6 career games against the Flyers. 3 goals and the highest shooting percentage at 15.8 that he has against any team, except, of course, for Utah. 1 game, 1 goal, 2 shots, shooting 50% against Utah. But of all the teams he's played more than once, highest shooting percentages against the Flyers and 9 points in 6 games. I will absolutely take the former captain, especially now with the current captain out of the lineup and this really, really good freaking Ottawa Senators power play. I realize the Flyers PK is elite. They've earned that. But the Ottawa's power play, 4th in the league at 29.2%.
Yeah, they have a lot of
Ottawa has some fire.
They have high-end talent. The depth isn't great, and that's the reason why, if they make the playoffs, it's probably going to be as a bubble team. But the guys at the top of the lineup are very skilled, and it shows on that power play.
They have 3 guys scoring at a point-a-game pace. Tim Stützle, 20 points in 15 games. Brady Tkachuk, 18 points in 15 games. Drake Batherton, 15 in 15. And then Giroux is 4th at 12 in 15. Power play is great. The penalty kill is not. 11th in scoring, 8th in goals against. This is a team that it seems like they should be better than 1 game over 500. They're in a real messy middle in the Atlantic Division and kind of in the Eastern Conference playoff race. But it feels like they have the top-end talent to be better than, 7-6 or 8-7?
Yeah, but again, it's the depth. They're not a terribly deep team. They have a lot of holes. They have good players at the top. Now, some of their good players maybe they're doing it now. Like maybe Stützle and a couple other guys are hitting their ceilings. But some of their young guys that they had high hopes for have not yet become who they were hoping they were going to become. That's been part of it. But also, I just don't think it's a terribly deep team. It will be very interesting to me, though, to see how the Flyers' penalty kill approaches this power play. Because the Flyers' penalty kill has been probably their biggest strength all year. I believe they're still second ranked in the league, second or third, depending upon how the game shuffled out yesterday. I haven't looked today. But they're right up near the top, and it's been deserved. Like, it's not like they've fluked into that. They've been a really good penalty kill. They were obviously very good last year as well. Not having Couturier in the lineup hurts maybe a little, but he wasn't getting used in the top of that rotation anyway. He was more like the 5th or 6th penalty kill forward. They still have their big guns. It's going to kind of be a firepower versus firepower, strength versus strength type of matchup, and I'm curious to see how it goes.
I am as well. And the Flyers' power play, while it has struggled a bit lately, light years better than last season. And that Ottawa PK, not great. So maybe a way to take advantage of the Sens there on special teams. Just looking at their roster, man, time flies. Thomas Chabot, 28. Like, where does the time go? I feel like I remember just yesterday. It's like, oh, he might be the next Erik Karlsson. This guy flies around out there, creates all this offense. Maybe they have their Karlsson replacement already. It's like, yeah, he's all right.
I like Thomas Chabot.
I like him, but Thomas Chabot, he's not the best defenseman of his generation.
I mean, he's definitely not. Yeah. I just think it's interesting, and I don't watch a ton of Thomas Chabot, obviously, because I don't watch a ton of Ottawa Senators games.
Nobody in their right mind would.
The perception in Ottawa of him seems substantially lower than the quality of his advanced metrics, which have been pretty much uniformly very good for his entire career. And then you talk to people in Ottawa, and they're like, yeah, he's okay. Jake Sanders is better. Like, he would have been a guy who, like, if the Flyers are looking to turn, there were rumors that the Flyers were checking in on him, and I was kind of like, hey, if you're looking to turn the corner quick, he is not a bad guy to pick up. He's a pretty good player. I just, at least by the numbers, he's a really good player. Ottawa seems to be less high on him than the numbers are, which I find interesting. I always find that interesting.
I want to talk a bit in the last few minutes before we get to how many super chats before I get to, okay, cool.
Hey-o.
I just, don't want to go into like.
Do you get super chats during pre-games?
We get super chats nonstop.
Fair enough.
But not as many in pregame. It's only half an hour. It's like,
Yeah, it's a short show, to be sure.
It's now been 4 seasons since the Flyers traded Claude Giroux. And here he is at 37. Well, he's still 36, right? He's an 88. So he'll be 37 January 12th. Here he is, 12 points in 15 games with the Sens the last couple of years. Last year, 64 points, 21 goals. 2 years ago, set a career high 35 goals. It's not a surprise to me that he's still good, but he's like a top contributor on maybe not a playoff team, but right now they're a playoff team.
They're right in the mix.
He's still a really freaking good player, and I don't know. It just seemed like he was okay. It's going down, and surely he's not a point-a-game player anymore, but he was like 2 years ago, like a year and a half ago. He was a point-a-game player. He's had an amazing career, Claude Giroux. Do you think he ever comes back?
I don't know. Well, it does seem like I thought I was hoping you were just going to set me up to say good things about Claude Giroux.
Oh, after this,
of course, you have to bring it into the Philly connection because you have no other way to talk about Claude Giroux other than like, when's he coming back to Philly?
I don't want him back personally. Thank you for your service.
It's cool that he's going the Joe Pavelski route in his career, where he's remaining very good and like. You watch him, and he pretty much looks like the same dude. Like, Pavelski was never that quick, and he slowed down even more. Now, I'm sure there will come a point where Claude Giroux slows down even more. You watch him play, he doesn't seem that much slower. Like, he just seems like the dude from 4 or 5 years ago.
And that
doesn't seem like the guy from his mid-20s.
Yeah, like that's 20,
but he looks like the same dude he was when he was 32.
2010, 2012, Giroux had some speed. But mostly, he was never Sean Couturier, but mostly he was great hands, great IQ.
The same thing with Michkov.
Yes. And now it doesn't really look like he's really lost a step from, let's say, the 102-point season. Like, he kind of looks like that guy still. I will always love and appreciate Claude Giroux. I don't want him back because I just think, thank you.
I would like to get him back, but not yet. To me, if they were ever going to get Claude Giroux back, and I think the organization shares my opinion here. If you're ever going to bring Claude Giroux back, you have to bring him back to a Flyers team that is already a contender. And then he can be like one of the last pieces that maybe you get at the deadline.
Maybe a deadline ad, I was going to say.
Or you sign him for 1 year. 1 year, $3 million contract to be a third liner and to be Claude Giroux, and it'd be like his farewell tour. And then maybe you can get him a cup and end it in storybook fashion. I really don't see a world where they're going to go out and sign him this summer, though, because I know he's a pending UFA, because they don't think they're ready. Number one, they don't think they're ready to sign any free agents, but they certainly don't think they're ready to essentially turn the locker room back over to Giroux, because there are enough people still on the team that were there when Giroux ran the show that they would just naturally, like Scott Laughton and Sean Couturier, are just going to naturally defer back to Claude Giroux if he comes back. They don't want that. They want a new room. Now, Claude Giroux, I think they would be fine bringing him back if, Matvei Michkov, whether he's the captain or not, but, let's say he's put his stamp on the Flyers, and, they are Michkov's team, and Giroux can just be another guy on Michkov's team, then I could see it. But that hasn't happened yet, and we have no idea how long it's going to take for that to happen. And by the time it does happen, he might be retired. You just don't know.
That's he turns 37 in January. How much time versus the Flyers timeline. I just think it would be the weirdest thing in the world. Say they did sign him this offseason and the Flyers turn the corner over the next couple of years. They win the cup in 3 years. Claude Giroux at 40 years old is on the team.
Right.
How weird would it be for him to be on that team and not be the guy who gets the cup first?
Yeah, it would be weird.
That would be very, very strange.
But he would get it second.
He would get it second, absolutely.
Yeah.
Unless they
because he would be the old guy without a cup.
He would be that dude. Yeah. Maybe he wins one this year.
With Ottawa?
Yeah.
With Ottawa?
Maybe they trade him at the deadline. I don't know.
I feel like you ever seen the movie Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah.
When they're talking about it's like one of the villains is in the the green room, and they're talking about oh, you're gonna do anything fun tonight? And the guy's like, in Toronto? It's like, in Ottawa? You think he's gonna win a cup in Ottawa? Are you kidding me?
You love that line for so many reasons.
Yep, I do.
All right, let's hit that super chat. I think we got at least one. There we go. From Spiral Out. My weekend starts tonight. Go Flyers, go Birds. That's right. Make sure you are tuned in right here to our YouTube page.
Let's have a 2-0 Philadelphia sports night. That'd be fun.
It would feel good, right? It would feel very good for both teams to pull out victories tonight. Make sure you are tuned in right here to the PHLY YouTube page, because we're not going anywhere. Immediately after this, we're going to start the watch along right around puck drop. I will tweet out that link from the PHLY Twitter, as long as Twitter still exists when the show ends. But really, really looking forward to this. We're going to hang out.
We got a quick super chat before we go.
All night, and then Hat-Trick Patrick chimes in with a super chat.
If only Matvei Michkov were born 10 years sooner, or 10 years later, seeing them play together would have been fun. I want him back, but I agree with you guys about how it would have to happen. Thank you, Hat-Trick Patrick.
It's a damn shame the way Claude Giroux's career went here.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
But to me, it's just and that's the way it was.
It's the way the cookie crumbles.
It's a real freaking shame, and we can't change history. I wish they had built a team around him.
Maybe we'll create a time machine.
Yeah, maybe. That's what I would do if let's get Claude Giroux a cup. That'd probably be number one on the priority list.
Not prevent pandemics or Holocaust and shit. No, you're saving Claude Giroux.
No, obvious. All right. And Jesus. And that is all the time we have for you on the PHLY Flyers pregame show presented by Coors Light. Visit CoorsLight.com/PHLY hockey to get Coors Light delivered or find a store near you. We're not going anywhere. We'll be right here with the watch along, so make sure you tune in for that. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers and follow the podcast as well wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. Until the next couple of minutes, my name is Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. Let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.